All right, without any further ado, let's bring him out. Up first, we have Trina, McGee! Up next, we have Friedle! Coming to the stage next, we have Will Friedle! And rounding out our panel, last but not least, we have Danielle Fishel! My goodness. All right, I guess I'll come over here. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Great. How are you?
Amazing. Does everyone have a microphone? Let me bring this one down to you.
Oh.
Here we go.
Oh, did you steal
Stage
a mic?
organization.
Thank you.
Way to go, Ryder.
It's all right. It's all right. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for being here. How's the weekend been so far?
It's been great.
So much fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. This is
Good food.
Good food?
Yes.
Yes. Richmond has great food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any like good places you guys were suggested this weekend?
Would you like to know breakfast or dinner?
Oh, all of the above.
Okay. Well, we really enjoyed Pearlie's for breakfast.
That place is awesome.
The little grocery store next door, Stella's, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Friday night, we ate at Crafted.
Yep.
So
Crafted was good.
And then last night, we ate at Juleps.
Which is also very
Delicious.
Very nice. Yes.
I ended up at Guar Bar. Did you guys make it over to Guar Bar this weekend?
No.
I love places that rhyme, though.
Oh, we
Guar
should've.
Bar.
Yeah.
I love that I totally divided the crowd. All right, so before we get into questions from the audience, I kind of wanted to ask the four of you guys, what were some of your fandoms growing up? What were you guys into?
I watched X-Files with my family religiously, so that would probably be my answer.
I was big into animation, so I loved like G.I. Joe, Ghostbusters, Transformers, Mask, all that kind of fun
Don't
stuff.
hold back, Will. Give us a few examples.
Excuse me. I am a big fan of that kind of, and then I love, comic books and then just old school sitcoms.
I can't believe you didn't say MASH.
I'm shocked.
I was just like, I was going to answer
school
for him.
sitcoms. I
Who
wasn't
is
going to
this
get
guy?
into it. I wasn't
think
going to
because
get.
he knows it,
It's
we're
not
expecting
about
it.
me. It's
He's
not
trying to
about
throw us off.
I don't know this MASH show. What is that about?
I didn't watch TV that much growing up. I was really into movies, but the thing that I got obsessed with, my first job was Les Miserables. I played Gavroche, and I became it's such a great, and I still love it. It's like the perfect musical, and I became obsessed with the music from Les Mis, and I would get every cast CD, or if I could get a hold of a bootleg cassette, and I was like really obsessed. So that was like a big fandom. So that led to Into the Woods and like a lot of those musicals from that late '80s, early '90s. I was really into.
Is there a big underground tape Les Mis
Yes.
world that we don't know about? Like,
Oh my God.
Oh my God! You got the '87? Like,
I seriously, I've had this moment where like I'm out with somebody or whatever, we start talking, they're like, well, who do you think was the best Eponine? And people are able to name names from which country, and it's like people have and I've like gotten into debates with people. It's super fun. Awesome. Sorry.
Well, I like sitcoms. I'm like Will. I have 4 favorite shows. I love The Brady Bunch. I know every episode of that.
Yes.
I love Gilligan's Island, and I love Good Times, and The Jeffersons. I like The Jeffersons a lot. But that's really all I watched was sitcoms, and I watched them all day long. I was a total TV addict as a kid, so I'm really where I am supposed to be right now.
they were in huts that they built themselves. They used coconut phones. They couldn't fix the hole in the boat.
Ever.
They showed the hole in the boat is this big, and they're like, well, we can't do anything about that. Oh, the Globetrotters have showed up.
How did all the other people get onto the island? Like, come on.
It's like, fix the boat.
And they left.
Come on, yeah.
I feel like we need a whole different debate panel just on Gilligan's
We
Island.
do,
So next
we do.
time.
Do you know how Gilligan's Island, you know how they get off the island? They walk to the other side and find a plane. The entire time nobody went, we should go over there.
So you like the show, is what you're saying.
I'm just saying.
But
Gilligan's Island had some problems.
Makes total sense.
I'm telling you. The 1986 version of Gavroche was so much better.
25601. All right, so one of my favorite things about your show was there was so many incredible cameo performers. I wanted to know if you guys had some favorite cameos from Boy Meets World.
Oh my gosh, we had so many amazing ones.
Yeah.
I mean, Phyllis Diller was just so memorable to me having her on set, and even though at the time I wasn't familiar with her work, I just knew she was a big deal, and I remember the vibe of having her on set, and she was so funny. Phyllis Diller was probably one of my favorites. Also, Carrie Russell was so great as George Feeney's niece.
Yeah, that was cool. We had a lot of really amazing people. We had some of the people from Happy Days on the show, which was really cool, and all the wrestlers we had on the show were really cool, which was great. And the monkeys was really cool to have the monkeys on. I think 3 of them played your dad at one point. So it was, having the monkeys on was cool.
Adam Scott, but too much of a hugger. It was great. I love all the bullies. We got along with them so much, and they're just great people. I do think Vader was. I wasn't a big wrestling fan, but I just loved him as a person.
He was amazing, Leon.
And, he told such great stories.
Yeah.
So that was probably because I didn't know who a lot of those other people were. Like I remember you guys being like Happy Days. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know. but we just sat and had lunches together, and I loved talking to him. He was a great storyteller.
Well, I like this actress who wasn't anybody at the time when she came on the show, but went on to do really big movies. Her name was Linda Cardellini.
Yeah.
She just had the coolest vibe. I also like when we had Joanne Worley on the show. Woohoo! You guys, she might be before your time a little, but she was really great. And then the guy who played my father, the reoccurring role, he was in this movie called The Last Dragon, and he played Shawn. So that was a pretty big deal for me.
If you have not seen The Last Dragon, it is one of the best movies ever made. It's awesome. Yeah, great movie.
Well, I don't know about one of the best.
It is. It is. It's brilliant. It was one of the movies of my childhood, yes.
I hate to cut you off, but you did mention the wrestlers on the show. I know this weekend we had Mick Foley was here this weekend.
Yes,
on our show.
Mick was here.
That was pretty iconic.
Yeah, we love Mick.
Wait a second.
best.
What's happening?
Oh,
What is this?
no.
Oh my gosh.
Mick Foley,
Mick's
everybody,
here.
the hardcore legend!
Wow.
Very nice to see you.
What a surprise.
This is iconic.
I sit in your chair there.
You
Heather.
better, Mick
Thank
Foley.
you.
Oh
That's
my
awesome.
goodness.
It was a softball question.
Sorry.
Correct answer is Mick Foley.
I know, you're right. Okay, can we answer this answer again? Mick Foley, number 1.
Phyllis Diller.
A fun story.
Yes.
So this goes back probably 10, 11 years ago. I see something on Twitter and it says, hey, the cast of Boy Meets World is really saying nice things about you. So you were doing a Q&A, and the question came up about favorite guest stars. And there were no Happy Days answers then.
It was all Mick Foley.
No wrestlers, plural. It was Mick Foley. And so I came on and I said, oh, thank you, at Danielle Fishel. And that began a long-time friendship.
Yes, it did.
Then I started seeing Will at the conventions.
At the conventions, yep.
Right? And
Yep.
it's every white rider and Trina. So I look forward to it. I was saying, as soon as I saw Danielle, I was like, I didn't know you were here just literally yesterday. I was looking at the cast reunion photo.
Oh,
and
really?
I snuck in there and did a photo with you guys.
Yes.
But I'm so proud of it. Just today, there was a family that came up, a couple wrestling fans, a child who was not a wrestling fan, but the mom said, oh, she's here to see the cast of Boy Meets World. And I was like, I was in Boy Meets World. So check out for Love and Apartments.
Yep.
But this is your panel, but I just wanted to stop by, tell you how much I enjoyed being on the
Thank
show.
you, Mick.
Thank
we
you.
Loved
We
having
Loved
you.
having you. We loved having you.
Thanks for teaching me that wrestling move back in the day.
Thank you. And I just think it's cool. Here we are 24 years later, and you guys accept me because I came in, it's a real tight-knit group, and I'm like, I'm 15 years older than everybody. This is back in 1999. And within about 20 minutes, you guys made me feel right at home. We had a great time.
It was
We hit
great.
it off. And it was my favorite television experience. So
Yes.
thank you so much.
We
Thanks.
love you.
Thank you,
Mick.
Mick.
Yes.
I'll see you soon. That's such a nice guy.
Oh, man.
Bang, bang. Whew, I'm glad that worked out. I was so nervous about that all day. We made it happen.
He threw me through a banister. It was awesome. It was so cool.
And you're still friends.
It was great. It was great. A real friendship can handle being thrown through a banister.
That's true. That's true. So I'll ask one more question, then we'll go to questions from the crowd. I wanted to say, obviously, William Daniels as Mr. Feeney always gave really wonderful advice. So I wanted to know if there's a piece of advice that you guys have been given throughout your lives that you can share with us here today.
Wow.
No one?
I think truthfully, one of the things that has been very important to me over the course of my life has been one of the lessons overall from Boy Meets World. And I know that that's not the direct question, that we have to answer something from Boy Meets World that was a good piece of advice. But it is something I take with me and I think is important for everybody, which is the idea that like you don't have to be blood to be family. And that is just so important because you can really, truly create the family that you wish you had or the family you always wanted. If your own family is lacking in some way, you can create your own community of friends, and that those friends can be just as influential and just as important to you, even without sharing blood. So that is something I take with me, and I've shared with people closest to me.
I like that. That's nice. I guess it sounds so cliche, but the best advice I ever really got was just be yourself, just kind of be who you are, and if somebody doesn't like you for that, that's probably somebody that isn't going to be in your life anyway. So I always kind of took that to heart. And the best advice that Bill Daniels ever gave me in real life was, don't come in my dressing room. Solid advice.
When my wife was pregnant, we ended up going to 8 weddings that year. She was miserable. But at one of the weddings, we got seated next to this lovely couple, and they were, as you find when you're pregnant, everyone loves to give advice. But this person ended up giving amazing advice. He said, the first year, the baby is a backpack. Go, travel, don't, because a lot of people just hunker down and they don't go anywhere. He was like, that first year, the baby is a backpack. And so we ended up traveling the world our first year with our baby. And I'm so glad, because then the next few years are a lot harder to travel. But that first year, so I just thought that was great advice that I've actually passed along to other people when I,
You can also tell your son, no, you've already been there.
Exactly. You don't remember?
We took you to Disney World. You loved it.
Well, I would say the thing that I learned the most from my experience on Boy Meets World is that it is a really good thing to, whatever your place is in a situation, to show up and do your damn best. You just don't know where that can take you, and you should never judge yourself on what other people are doing or what their place is. We're all like a body, even in this room. Some of us are some arms, some of us are some legs and some tails, and everybody's important. And I really feel like that's what Boy Meets really, really taught me. Everybody's important to make one good show.
Those are all great answers. Oh my gosh. All right, so we're going to go to questions from y'all. Just keep in mind, one question per person and no requests. You're up. What's your name? Ooh, I don't know if that mic's on. Can we get the mic on in the crowd, please?
Is this thing on?
1, 2.
Oh, there we go.
So my name is Christina, and one of my favorite episodes is the graduation episode where Topanga asked Corey to marry her. So I want to know from all of you, do you guys have any favorite episodes that you loved filming from Boy Meets World?
Yes, there were so many. The episodes that are the most memorable to me are probably all in that first season, just because it was so new and exciting and wonderful. Obviously, Topanga's first episode, Corey's Alternative Friends, will never leave my mind. And then also, I talk a lot about the episode where Topanga has a crush on Eric, and she shows up at the house and Will face-palmed me, and I just remember so much about that scene in particular.
I liked the scenes where I got to kind of be crazier, so like the Plays with Squirrels stuff, or the one that always sticks out to me because we had so much fun was, and it's the 4 of us, was when Eric's in the couch. And we just couldn't get through this scene. We just couldn't get through it, and we just kept making each other laugh. And so those are the moments that I take away. I think that kind of stick out. Yeah.
Yeah, I really, I don't remember a lot of the show, a lot of the early seasons. I mean, we're watching it now for a podcast, and it's like, what? So I would say the last 2 seasons were, as far as behind the scenes, the times I remember. So the Scream episode, what we call the Scream episode,
that's right.
it's just like, we just had so much fun. But those whole last 2 seasons, we were just having a blast. I just remember laughing every day.
All the time, yep.
Well, you stole my answer. I loved the Scream episode. I just thought that was so cool. I got a line in there where I say, I'm the screamer around here, and I love when fans come back and say that line to me. You know, I liked that show. And I don't understand that show. Like, it's kind of confusing of what is actually happening in the show. So over the years, I've tried to watch it over and over and like understand it. Yeah. But, you know, I just enjoy it, you know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
All right. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Angela. Watching the show was a little hard when your character would come on because I don't like hearing my own name. So every time they would say your name, I'd be like, please don't. Anyway, you guys were my childhood. I watched you when I was younger. I still watch Boy Meets World to this day. Of course, Kim Possible. I watched Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Like, literally, it was all of that. It was my childhood and adulthood. Something that I felt was extremely important in this show was the aspect of friendship. Of course, Corey and Shawn, but also just everybody. So my question is, what do you think is the most important thing in friendship? Like, what is the most important aspect of friendship? What do you think keeps those friendships from 4 years old? Like, my best friend and I have been best friends for 27 years since we were born. So what do you think keeps that friendship from babies to adulthood?
I would say grace. I think recognizing that everybody's on their own individual journey and that your journeys at different times may be totally aligned and you'll be on similar journeys, but also recognizing that sometimes you will be on totally different journeys, and to allow the other person in the friendship the same amount of grace you would want to be given for where you are in life. And I think for all of us sitting up here who, you know, have been in and out of each other's lives multiple different times over the last 30 years, it has meant that there were times we didn't talk for a year or two, or we had a disagreement about something and maybe there was some separation. But at the end of the day, talking and understanding where the other person is what's kept us in each other's lives. And I just think that you can't have a true friendship without that.
Great question, and that's my answer.
That's cheating, by the way.
Something that's occurred to me as I've gotten older, and seems more important now that everybody has kids and married, and is just more regular contact. I feel like, and not texting, but like actual getting on the phone. I'm just making more of an effort because I realized when I was younger, if I lived in the same city as somebody, or we were neighbors, or we worked together, you just would have regular contact, and that was the basis of the friendship. And as you get older, and everybody's lives get more, split up or separated, and obviously the pandemic exacerbated all of this, I'm just now making an effort to not like have big events where we see each other for a vacation or whatever, but like a call where we just talk for 5 minutes and like just a check-in. So I feel like that's become way more important to my friendships than it used to be.
That's my answer too.
Well, Danielle said it best. Grace is big up there. And I also feel it's a consistency in trust. When you have someone you can have trusted over time and time, and even in a mistake, we made a mistake, but now we can still go on and trust. That's how you get that longevity, Just be good to your people.
That as well. Yeah.
Thank you. What a wonderful question. All right. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Seftis. So was there like one moment that was like an accident or a mishap that happened on set that ended up going to the final cut and you loved it?
I mean, what Will mentioned about
the
being in the
couch.
couch is my favorite tag we've ever had on Boy Meets World. It's also my favorite tag I've ever seen on any show ever. I just think seeing us all continually crack up and seeing Will in that red leather seat is just, it's hysterical. So that, to me, I'm so happy they made that the tag of the show.
I agree. My favorite part of that is actually you. Where your line is, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and the second time you say it, you go, it's 3. And then just start laughing.
Really trying to keep it together.
That's my favorite part of the whole thing. But yeah, that's the one that really, and I think, I could be wrong, but I don't think we ever got it. That's why that was the tag, because I don't think we ever actually filmed it the right way. So it was that or nothing. And so yeah, that's my favorite part as well.
Yeah, there have been a couple, now that we've been rewatching, there have been a couple times where we've noticed like Ben breaks.
Yep.
So I'm very curious how often the audience can tell the difference.
Yeah.
But we can tell, but it's every once in a while, and it's usually in the tag. It's usually like a final moment where we allowed ourselves to really laugh. And so, yeah, you can see those. And I'm notorious. You can see me about to lose it all the time. Once you know that I'm about to laugh, I am.
But you know the signs. It's like,
these guys are always able to.
Ryder is right about
you were
to
about
laugh.
to break. Yeah.
Well, back then I never laughed because I was I'm older than them, and I'm like this trained New York actress, so I would just always find myself waiting for them to finish laughing.
You and Bill were both. Yep.
But now I laugh. Now I look at it and I crack up at them, and it's such a lighter, easy breezy thing to be. So it's all good.
Great question. Hey, what's your name?
Hey, it's Phil. Hey, what's up, Will? You asked me here personally to do this, man. I came here to do this just for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm nervous because I don't remember what I asked you to do.
All right. Will asked me to do this because apparently I'm the only one that has, but I'm going to sing the Kim Possible theme song.
Oh, okay.
And if anybody wants to join in, wants to do this, let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
Anyone.
I think you have to lead it, my friend.
I'm solo.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Before this, I ain't got no singing voice, so we gonna do this though. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah, I'm your basic average girl, and I'm here to save the world. You can't stop me 'cause I'm
Kim Possible.
There is nothing I can't do.
I don't know the word.
I forgot this in time, man.
Awesome.
Kim
So that I am on my way. It doesn't matter where or when there's trouble. If you just call my name.
Kim Possible.
Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. If you want to page me, it's okay whenever you need me, baby.
Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter when. I will be there for you till the very end. On danger or trouble, I'm there on the double. You know that you always can call
Kim Possible.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
All
Call
right.
me, beat me if you want to reach me.
All right. Beautiful, beautiful. You have a lot of guts, my friends. All right.
I did it for you, Will.
I appreciate that. Thank
right.
you.
Let's go to the next one. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Aaron, and the best I can do is probably Pootie Tang's.
Well, okay.
But my question is actually for Will. One of my favorite Eric Matthew moments is the one where you really give your dramatic chops, and it's actually the Brotherly Shove episode.
Oh, yeah, the cleaning out the garage, yeah.
Yeah, well, the scene where you're basically saying, you're right, we're brothers, we're not friends. What was the driving force behind that monologue for you?
It's one of those things where I think anybody who has brothers, I have two brothers in my life, and depending on your ages, there's, just like Danielle said with friendships, there's times where you're closer and you're not closer, and any relationship kind of ebbs and flows, and so I think I was probably using certain situations I had with my brothers to kind of go, into that scene. But it is, there, as an actor, it was one of those things where the Corey and Shawn dynamic was so much more personal than it seemed the Corey and Eric dynamic was. So I think this kind of came to a head, and we had a scene where I think the writers realized that, where it's like, it looked like Corey and Shawn were closer than Corey and Eric were. So there's kind of, it's like, let's address that. Let's see what it's like to feel like, wow, you're closer to your best friend than you are to your brother, and that's upsetting me. So I think, because I haven't seen it since it came out, but we'll get to that in season 38 of the podcast. So I definitely want to watch it again, but the thing I distinctly remember about that episode was the guest star, and I can't remember his name, but he was wonderful, the guy who beats me up and punches me in the face. I remember him being very intense and very into the scene, which helped to drive the whole thing. So it was good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question.
Great question.
And great Transformer shirt. All right. What's your name?
Hey, I'm Carol. Grew up watching you guys and basically learned a lot of life lessons. Of all these episodes, with the exception of the final one, which was the hardest one to film for you guys?
Oh, that's a good question.
Hardest.
Huh.
I remember the episode when Topanga moves to Pittsburgh being an emotional episode, and I enjoyed doing that as a part 2. I think maybe was it the only part 2 we did? Other than Angela did. You had a two, was that two? Were those 2 episodes connected? Part 1 and part 2.
The Civil War episode.
Right.
The war episode.
But it was the first part
Disney
2.
World
Maybe
was
the
2. I don't know. I feel like
Was Disney World 2?
I don't know.
Okay,
We had a lot of part 2
I remember it
projects. Anyway.
being a significant part 2 feeling, and like having the live studio audience there. So that'd be mine.
The Tommy stuff was always very emotional with with JB. And again, it's kind of out of character for Eric to kind of do the dramatic stuff. So that was a tough one.
The wrestling episode was so hectic. We actually shot during a real wrestling match, and it was the most insane shooting day of my life. And we had Ethan Suplee on, and he felt the same way. He was like, "What was happening?" So that was just awful, terrifying.
I'd say for me, the first episode that featured of the man who played my father, that was pretty hard for me. It was really exciting to actually have the show turn onto the Angela character. So I was way nervous, and then when I had to tell Shawn, "I love you," it took a lot in the dressing room to get there. So I passed the nerves and everything. So that's probably was the hardest one for me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Diane. Loving the podcast. I've been for the past month or 2 deciding what kind of car to get, and minivan was in the maybe category, but now it's fully on the yes side.
Yes.
So you guys are imparting great wisdom on your podcast. Keep it up. So Boy Meets World, I really feel like is a great show about role models, especially positive role models. You've got Amy and Alan, Mr. Feeney, Mr. Turner. My question is, who were your role models in your adolescence, whether it's professional role models, personal role models, any type of role models?
In my personal life, it was definitely my mom. My mom and I have been very close in my entire life, and she was everything I looked up to and still look up to this day. So in my personal life, my mom. And then on a professional side, I don't think I realized it at the time, although I definitely felt how instrumental they were in shaping us, but the directors we had in those first 2 seasons of Boy Meets World were just, I learned 80% of what I know about directing and acting from them in those first 2 years.
For me, like Danielle, when I was younger, my parents, my family, that helped to shape me the most. And then when I got on the set and grew up a little bit, William Daniels was very important to me. And then as I got a little older, Kevin Conroy was very important to me. So those people meant a lot, mean a lot.
Yeah, the directors on our show were huge role models for me. Jeff McCracken, David Trainer, and then studio teachers too. We had incredible studio teachers, and they shaped my life. And then I got very lucky. I just had great teachers. Even when I started college, the last 2 years of the show, great professors all through college. So yeah, pretty standard role models, but they were great.
Well, for me as a kid, I came from kind of a troubled family, so I didn't really have a whole lot of role models. But I did have my grandmother who worked really, really hard. She was the backbone of our family. And then professionally, I'm going to have to give it to the man who actually brought me out to Hollywood and said, Trina, I think you could be, a star, and I'm going to pay for you to come out here, and I'm going to put you up for 6 months, and we'll see what happens. And that man was Quincy Jones.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I got my first break. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be able to be sitting here. So he means a lot to me. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
What's your name?
Hello, I'm David. First off, thank you for sampling our community.
It's a great community, it really is.
Oh, thank you. And the question is, as opposed to outtakes or tags, do you have a ad-lib that you are fond of?
I think it's really hard for us, unless there's like a very specific one somebody remembers, it's actually really hard to remember. For us, I barely ad-libbed. It was very much like you say what was on the page. Will actually remembers an ad-lib I had.
I remember, which with the
when you
were you putting your hand down?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I remember, Danielle does not remember this, but I remember we were doing the future, I don't even know, it's
we were in the 40s.
The space-time continuum turns out to be in the back of the closet.
You know.
Like you do.
Yeah.
And so we ended up in like the Casablanca,
The 40s, yeah.
essentially. And Danielle Topanga at the time comes to hire the gumshoe, who's Eric.
Yeah.
And I say something, and I'm trying to be all cool, and I put my hand on the table, and Danielle, to trump me, puts her hand like over my hand in such a way that we weren't expecting, and it got the biggest laugh in the world. And she didn't even remember. I can't wait to show it to you.
I know, I can't wait to see it.
But it did. It got the biggest laugh in the world, and people were like, "She one-upped you." I was like, "I know, it was great."
He got to ad-lib a lot more than
I did. I got to play. I like to button scenes, and the one that I remember the most is there's an episode where both Jack and Eric are trying to get Rachel to fall in love with them. So Eric becomes like a poet. And at the end, Jack becomes a clown and is riding a tricycle, and that was just supposed to be the end of the scene. And then as the camera was rolling, I said, "And next time ask before you borrow my bike." And I grabbed the tricycle and I walk away. None of that was in the script. I just added that and grabbed the tricycle and walked off. So that's one that I definitely remember adding, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever ad-libbed, but I want to say the Feeney call was essentially an ad-lib.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah.
You know, it just said Feeney exclamation point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Ryder, I don't know if you remember, but you actually gave me a really good ad-lib, probably the only ad-lib I did. It was when we had the show where we were kissing while they were having like a rally, and the patty panty thing or something like that. You know, do you remember that? Okay, well, anyway.
We're only on season 2.
The line was, Ryder whispers in my ear right before the take, he goes, "What if you just yelled it out like this, start kissing?" And I would have never done that, but I just took a chance. I said, okay, I'll say it like this. And it really was a hit. They kept the tape, you know, so I want to thank Ryder for my ad-lib then, yeah.
I was going to say, Ryder has no recollection of that at all, I can tell.
Awesome, great question.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Hi, my name is Marianne.
Hi, Marianne.
I listen to the podcast. I'm a mail carrier, and I listen to the podcast. I'm up to February. My last one was the one with Ethan.
Okay.
And you guys were talking about how your oldest fan is like 40. Well, you're wrong. I'm 63.
Yeah!
I have been your fan since my children watched the show, and now I turned it on for my grandchild, and she's already gone through it 4 times.
Yes!
Yes, it's an excellent show. It's the friendships, the role models is excellent. My favorite one is when you will say that men are idiots, because I believe that. You know, that was very prophetic to me. And but my question is, my favorite one is when Mr. Squirrels makes his appearance and he has his manifesto. And I believe in his manifesto. You lose all friends.
Yeah, lose one friend,
yeah,
lose all friends, lose yourself. Yeah.
Who came up with Mr. Squirrels, and why not Mr. Chipmunk, or why not Mr. Tiger?
That's a good question. Who wrote that? Was that Blutman? Was that a Blutman? No, it couldn't have been season 7.
Gone, yeah.
I don't know who wrote that episode.
I thought maybe it was your.
Oh, no, I would love to. Yes, it was me.
Okay.
No. No, it was all of that was truly on the page. It really
Not the
was.
lollipop. You
No,
pulled the lollipop.
I added the lollipop. That was mine.
That was excellent.
That was my nod to Dan Aykroyd in Trading Places. But no, that was all written. I would love to take credit for that, but the plays with squirrels and Mr. Squirrels and all that stuff, and it's a shame that I can't remember. That episode was called Seven the Hard Way, I think.
Yes.
And I can't remember who wrote it, but whoever wrote that came up with the plays with squirrels.
Well, thank him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of which,
Right? I am plays with squirrels. But I also go by Nicole, so I'm.
I also go by Nicole. That's great.
Hi guys. So I've been watching y'all's show my entire life. To this day, I still talk about it. It's very much the center of my life, my everyday. And for the past 30 years, the show's been in existence. From the time you guys started filming to now, there's been so many important morals and life lessons that come through the show. And for you guys, what morals and life lessons that the show put out that you guys, were doing through each episode, which one stuck with you guys the most through your life that you've been able to pass on to friends and family?
Well, I think I answered mine earlier, but you don't have to be blood to be family.
Yeah.
So I'll stick with that one.
I like that one. I love Dream, Try, Do Good.
Yes.
I think that's a pretty.
That was going to be my answer.
Yeah,
That's my answer too.
Thank
but
you guys
it is.
so much.
It's so simple and perfect and
Yeah,
great.
it
So
always works.
That's Matthew Nelson wrote those words, and they're perfect.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
And you look amazing. What's your name?
She's modest. She didn't show you the lollipop she has.
Yes.
In her beard. But my name is Ariel. Don't want to hold up time. Someone already asked you about emotions, and I was going to ask about the moments that pulled on your heartstring, like Tommy, Shawn's dad dying, or Turner. So Danielle, to deviate just a little bit, what about Girl Meets World? Were there any heartstring moments maybe you want to share with us?
Girl Meets World. I mean, just the relationship that Topanga had with Maya, I think always kind of pulled at my heartstrings. And then there was also a really touching moment that Corey Fogelmanis and I shared in the kitchen. And I don't even remember what the subject matter was. I just remember that Corey and I were sitting next to each other on the step. And I put my arm around him, and I remember every time we rehearsed it, I would just well up like he was my child in real life. And I'm like welling up thinking about it now. I don't remember what the episode was, but just the personal and individual relationships I had with each of the kids on that show, being able to have those one-on-one kind of quiet moments was just always special to me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Meg. So I grew up with the show. I started watching it when I was 10, and I grew up watching it. What was it like, because you guys grew up with the show too, and then you got to even do a show as adults with Girl Meets World. What was it like becoming people yourselves while also becoming a character, if that makes sense?
Have you listened to Pod Meets World?
I'm so mad I didn't know that existed, and I'm really upset about it that I missed out so much.
We answer all your questions in a scant 78 hours.
Yes, every week.
Yeah, that's basically what the podcast has become.
Yeah.
Is us
I mean, I don't doubt it. I
processing.
just...
And it is, I mean, to the answer to the question is, it is something that was all the same things adolescence is for everyone else, mixed with having your own adolescence on television and then also going through adolescence as a character. And I think really you don't even know how to process all of that until it's 30 years later. And now we're just starting to unpack it all and what that meant and what it felt like and how those experiences shaped who we are. And for Trina, she was a little older when she started. So she wasn't 16. So she may have a different
I was
feeling
already
on it.
developed.
That's really what Pod Meets World is about. Yeah. It's processing all that stuff while also being treated like an adult and doing an adult job. So it's very strange.
I think we're still processing it
definitely.
in general.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I know what I'm doing for the next, however long.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Hello, I'm Jessica. Big fan of Boy Meets World, Girl Meets World, Pod Meets World. My question is mainly for Will and all the cast. Is there anyone that you guys have ever met outside of Boy Meets World, like at cons, that you've just fanboyed or fangirled over?
Yeah, first of all, I played it pretty cool. Let's be honest. But I'm a total nerd, so I do it all the time. All the time. The first time that Jamie Farr and Loretta Swit from MASH were at a convention, I was like, hey, Jamie, could you sign my action figure? And they did, which is very, very cool. But I do that all the time. I'm a fan first. I'm a total nerd. I have no problem in jumping in on photo ops and doing all that stuff. I mean, and I'll just be like, oh, who's taking a picture in there? It's like, oh, it's Billy Zabka. And I'm like, I'm going in there right now. So I'll do stuff like that all the time. I'm a big, huge fan. So I would be if I wasn't up here, I'd be down there. Like if I could be at a convention every weekend, I would. So.
Anyone else?
I did a play once, and Sean Penn came, and he came backstage, and we were, meeting him, and I'm like, "Hi," and he goes, "Man, I feel like I know you," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "My kids watch your show all the time." I'm just like, "Oh my God!"
Sean Penn's kids watch Boy Meets World. What? I never heard this story.
I never told you that?
No.
It was like the weirdest. I was like, here I was expecting to I love this and that. And he was just like, I feel like I know you. I was like, oh my God. It's funny.
I can't believe it's taken 30 years to hear that.
Well, for me, I've met so many famous people. I'm not a young person, but I will say I did just have a really interesting William Shatner experience while I was here. So check out my Instagram. I got him to call me hot. That was really cool. But that would be it for me.
I saw Michael Keaton once out at a restaurant, and he was sitting behind me at a restaurant, and I had was turning and looking for something, and then I was like. I was pointing pointing through my face. I was to the person I was with, I was right there. He's looking at me like, what? What's on your face? No, right there. There. I didn't say a word, but that was really cool.
So cool. So cool.
Thank you.
Great question.
Thank you.
All right, so I think we maybe have time for another question or two or three. We'll see what we can get through. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Savannah. I wanted to say Topanga was a huge role model for me growing up. I fangirled really hard when I saw the listing that you guys were going to be here. And with this weekend being my birthday weekend, I turned 24 yesterday. And
happy birthday!
It's honestly a dream come true to even just be in the same room as you. And then I was going to ask Eric, can you do the Feeny call?
I can't. I'm sorry. And you bring it up too by first saying it's your birthday. It makes it even harder to say no. I'm sorry. I gave it to the girls on Girl Meets World. It belongs to them now. So they have to do it for you. Oh, Danielle's hugging you on your birthday. Oh. That's sweet. I now look like even more of a jerk for not being able to do the Feeny call. No, I passed it on to them. It's theirs now.
No, it's okay.
Sabrina and Rowan have to do it for you.
I appreciate you guys for even coming to con. It's great to even be able to be here with you guys.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't worry, we are all you right now. We all felt that one. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Nevaeh, and thank you for all the autographs on Friday. And I was wondering what it was like growing up on TV and shooting Boy Meets World.
Growing up on TV, it was, at the time, it was really fun to be on set. And I don't think I really knew, we weren't as popular at the time that the show was airing. We weren't as popular as people would think. So I wasn't even really super aware that I would watch it with my family, but people didn't really recognize us too much in those early seasons. And so it didn't even really feel like it was on TV. I think had it been as popular then as it is now, it would have made me very insecure because I would be like, everybody's watching. Yeah. But at the time, we really just kind of felt like we were shooting a show for a few people.
That's true. It's a perfect answer because we just were the show that kept on going. Have you ever heard of the show Wings? Exactly. So we were Wings for younger people. It was a show that was on for 8 years that if you watched it, you loved it, but nobody else knew it was on. That was Boy Meets World. We just kind of kept going, but every other show on TGIF had more publicity than us, was more popular than us, so we kind of had the best of both worlds where we had each other and we had a lot of fun on the set, but we could still go places and do things and have fun. It wasn't until the second and third runs of the show that it really started to become super popular, so we kind of lucked out in that regard.
You're way better than Wings.
Thank you. Wings is pretty great, though. Wings is pretty great.
I don't know how much to add. Yeah, we really felt like we were. There was a period where going to places where teenagers would hang out, like if we went to the mall or something, then it would be like, oh, we actually have a TV show. But otherwise, yeah, we kind of could keep our heads down.
Same here. I didn't really feel the brunt of any fame, honestly, until the show ended and went into reruns the first 2 years. And then I was invited to some kind of little event. And I'd been there years before, which normally was like a small clap turned into a large roar. And I was like, I'm not even on the show anymore. It was very confusing. And then I learned, wow, this rerun thing is pretty amazing. Thank you.
Great question.
Thank you.
All right, I totally apologize, but this has to be the final question. All right, you're up. What's your name? You got this.
It's okay.
Yeah.
My question is, what was your transition like from Boy Meets World to Girl Meets World as a mom and a father?
Well, there had been 5-ish years between Boy Meets World and then Girl Meets World coming around. So, and at the time, I was not a real-life mother yet, nor was I even a real-life wife yet. Or no, around 2013, I got married the first time. Now married for the second time. It's better the second time around for me. Yes, yes. But I was actually really excited to get to imagine what Topanga would be like as a mother. And the answer is she's very much like Danielle as a mother. I just didn't know it at the time because I didn't have kids. Yeah.
I just wanted to say I really liked Maya's relationship with you on the screen. It made me cry several times.
I know. That relationship was really special. It's interesting that they picked Maya for Topanga to have kind of a more special relationship with than Riley, but I guess ultimately Riley had the more special relationship with the Corey character, and Maya and Topanga really had a strong bond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for all your questions. Those were excellent. We also had a concert.
We can't do one more?
If you say so, then we can.
Well,
it's on you.
It's my first time here.
One final question. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jacqueline. I go by Jackie, but I was wondering what is your favorite book? And don't steal each other's answers. So what is your favorite book you like to read? You give me a children's book, a novel, or whatever.
Favorite book?
Oh my gosh. Actually, well, I have two answers to that. One is that Ryder and his wife Alex and their son Indy gifted my children books for Christmas, and one of the books that they gave us was Frog and Toad, and they are some of the most incredible short stories about friendship, and I absolutely love them. And then another book I really love that's also for children is called What Do You Do with an Idea? And I try to read that one to my son all the time because I just think it's a really beautiful book.
Thank you.
I tried to read Frog and Toad. It was just too advanced for me. My favorite book of all time is the Odyssey by Homer. It is very short. Danielle's like, it's so short, though.
I have so many favorite books. It's really hard. I would say the answer that I've been giving since I was a teenager is a book called Fool's Progress by Edward Abbey, and I've read it maybe 4 or 5 times, and I should probably reread it again. But yeah, it's that. But another one that I've read maybe 6 times, and I just reread last week, is a fantastic book by Dennis Johnson called Train Dreams. He wrote Jesus' Son, which is also another great book, and that's what he's most famous for. But Train Dreams is incredible. It's only like 150 pages, so if you want to read something short, it's really good. Sorry.
You know, I like just simple wisdom. So I'm gonna say my favorite book is actually Aesop's Fables. You know, like I like to read. I like Proverbs. I like things that get to like a real lesson real quick. You know.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now we are officially at time. I'm so sorry. This has been so much fun. Thank you for your questions.